Well, good afternoon, everybody. How's the marathon? Feel a little bit like a marathon? Okay. I know it's been a little bit of death by PowerPoint. I'll try to make this interesting, and hopefully we can all relate to many of the things I'm going to be talking about today. I'm used to talking to audiences that are primarily automotive peers or people within Toyota. Talking with logistics people feels like home to me, and especially considering that I would venture to say every one of you has a car. Hopefully, most of you have a Toyota or Lexus. Show of hands, please. Okay, or know someone who owns a Toyota or Lexus. Hopefully that would be everybody. Okay, well, we certainly do appreciate you as a customer. And I'm hoping also that when you listen to this discussion today, that you realize that what I'm talking about is not so much about logistics, but about a customer-first transformation. And that's the journey that we've been on. So let me get into this a little bit and first talk about something that's really important to us, and it's about change. So I'm going to ask Hugh to come back up here for a second. He has no idea what is going to happen, but he's a good sport, I could tell. So Hugh, I want you to prove something to the audience here. Okay. I want you to put up your hand against mine. Yeah. Okay. So I'm almost leaning into him. That shows one thing that we all know. People are, thank you, you're done. You did a great job.
Oh, thank you.
A hand for Hugh, please, all right? Okay. People are naturally resistant to change. It's human nature. I tried to change him. I tried to move him, and he pushed back pretty hard. I could have put all my weight there. The point is, not only are people resistant to change, but organizations are particularly resistant to change. Many of you could probably describe your own company as being maybe at the status quo, right? Some people might even say, well, geez, around my company, nothing has more momentum than the status quo. But it's true that we have to change. So one of my favorite quotes up here on the screen by Lewis Carroll, I think we all know who he is that in a rapidly changing world, standing still is the fastest way to move backward. So I believe that you are all with me on this because you wouldn't be here at this kind of conference if you weren't looking to make some changes. Well, at Toyota, we're making a lot of change. We are consolidating in North America, becoming what we're calling One Toyota, because we had several different offices around the country, or headquarter hubs, if you will, California, Northern Kentucky, Michigan, New York. We're bringing all that together. In fact, our new headquarters in Plano, Texas, just opened last month. Eventually, we'll have over 6,000 team members at this one location. It's a beautiful new campus, but we're bringing together our engineering, our manufacturing, and our sales and marketing distribution people all together at one place. But it's not about this place. It's not about moving to Plano, Texas, or Dallas, Texas. It's about becoming One Toyota. It's about changing the way we look at ourselves, the way we approach our business, the way we want to be in the future. And it's a very exciting time, but it is representing a lot of change. Certainly a lot of new people in new jobs, turnover. We had a lot of people come with us. Of course, we're bringing in a lot of new people, and that's a great opportunity to bring in some great new thinking and help us recenter ourselves for the future. So it's an exciting time around Toyota. I represent our parts logistics organization. So if you think about it, it's everything after the vehicle is built. Accessories, service parts, everything our dealers need, collision parts, all of that, that's the world that I represent. So who's our customers? Well, hopefully many of you or people you know. 15 million Toyota and Lexus owners around the U.S., about 1,500 dealerships today. We support 4 North American distributors, a couple of private distributors. We also support Mexico, Canada, and we do a lot of export business today. 30 different distributors around the world where we export vehicles to, the parts have to follow. We also support our vehicle distribution centers. When you buy a vehicle, sometimes accessories are added. Those are all part of the work that we do, much of it, of course, hopefully, all of it behind the scenes. Our network, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. You're all logistics folks. You understand what a 2-tier network looks like. Ours simply is 2 tiers. We have 2 North American parts centers, one in California, one in Kentucky. They both face off our supply bases, whether they're North American manufacturing plants, Japanese manufacturing plants, or they are suppliers here in North America. That represents the first tier. The second tier faces our distribution centers, a total of 18 distribution centers in North America. Those face our customers, or in this case, our dealers. So that is background. I want to take you a little bit through our evolution. No, this is not me in this picture. Although the guy on the right does remind me of myself at sometimes. I think he has more hair, though. But we do have to take a look back at where we were to talk about where we're going. So I won't spend a lot of time on this. Go back 30, 40, 50 years. We were purely an importer. 100% of every vehicle and every part and accessory we brought in came in from Japan. We redistributed those. Through the 1980s, when we saw a lot of sales expansion, we also moved from monthly orders to Japan to more local procurement, started to buy more parts here. We also moved into a little bit of North American manufacturing starting in mid-1980s. And this was a period of exponential growth for us in sales for a lot of reasons. We then move into what we're calling the globalization period. This was the early 1990s when we established our two-tier network in North America. We moved from monthly orders to weekly orders to then daily orders with our dealers. We also saw tremendous growth in North American production sites. And then took us into the more recent period, which has been our supply chain optimization. With our two North American part centers, we started shifting to North American production. We moved from just a couple of plants in 1996 to now over 14 North American manufacturing plants. And our view of supply chain at that time was pretty standard. It was looking at everything from the customer and cost being in balance, right? Best possible service, lowest possible cost. Many of you, it's a very familiar model to you and maybe something that you entertain today. So going forward, let's go forward one more time. There we go. There was a catalyst for change. We wanted to make some change in our customer focus. So a lot of things were happening around 2010, 2011, that period. We were just coming out of the economic crisis. Customers were changing the way they were buying vehicles. Much more information was available. We started seeing more competition for alternative part sources. Because our customer base was so large, a lot of the what we call aftermarket or competitors out there were making replacement parts for our vehicles. We also saw increased competition, not only for vehicle purchases, but also in this aftermarket business for service and parts. One of the things that we really started to realize that it wasn't just about competing for part sales, it was really competing for the customer experience, for customer retention, customer loyalty, whatever terms you like to use. And we realized that people were changing the way they discovered information, the way they were sharing information, the way they approached their ownership of their vehicles. About that time, our president, Akio Toyoda, spelling is correct, his vision was a little bit different. He wanted to really focus on the customer. And what he basically said was, putting the customer first, the rest will follow. Well, we've taken that to heart in the service parts logistics area. We're moving from thinking about our supply chain based on the lowest costs to thinking about a supply chain based on customer needs. Essentially, what we're doing is we are transitioning, and we're continuing this transition, from an organization or an operation that moves parts through logistics to a customer-first organization that uses logistics to meet and exceed customers' needs. It's a mindset shift. So how do you do this? That's what some of you are here for, hopefully. Well, we'll tell you how we did it, and hopefully this will generate some ideas for yourself. Pretty obvious, if you've listened to any of the presentations today, you got to talk to your customers. So our customers, of course, are our dealers, because in any business, as you know, you're either serving customers or you're serving someone who is serving customers. And in our case, it's our dealers. We met with a lot of our dealers. We met with them in small groups. We met with them individually. We did extensive surveys. We sent research people out as well, mostly our own people, to do what we call Genji Genbutsu, to learn firsthand and to see what it was on their minds. And we listened. They covered three basic areas. One, they said, deliver the parts to me when the customer needs it. I need higher fill rates when you're facing distribution centers. I need longer hours. I need more hours to fill orders. I need increased coverage on holidays. We were often closed on holidays. Our dealers were open. It really didn't make sense. We needed to align. We needed to align our orders to level of urgency. There's three kinds of orders that we get from our dealers. There's orders to replenish their shelves, of course. There are orders because they have a customer need. A customer has had a special order. And we have emergency orders where customers are actually out of their car. They're in a rental, they're without the use of their vehicle. Those are the most urgent of all orders. Most of all, what they said is, help me help my customers. Sounds like Jerry Maguire, doesn't it? Help me help you. Help me help my customers. And we took that to heart. They also said, you make great quality vehicles, but your service parts quality isn't what it needs to be. And not the quality of the parts, but our ability to deliver a part that they can use. It's all great in your supply chain, but if it doesn't arrive in usable form or it's the wrong part, you really haven't accomplished what you need to, right? So we had to focus on our warehouse errors, our damages, transportation-related damages, warehouse damages, and denials. And we needed to provide accurate and timely information. The bar has been set by many other companies, UPS, Amazon, whoever, as far as providing ETA accuracy, giving good order tracking, moment-by-moment movement. If you bought anything recently from a lot of online companies, you kind of wish you didn't know that much about the product you were buying, right? You know when it's moving from hand to hand. It's great information, but this is the bar that's been set for us. And our dealers said we need more technical support. We have trouble identifying parts. We have trouble understanding when we can get something, when the ETA is going to be. There's challenges out there that dealers run into on a daily basis. We need to provide better support, online support, chat, whatever that is. And we need to provide more customer support. So each dealer has someone that they can contact, a single window person. Many of our dealers would call different people, depending on who they knew at our distribution centers, to try to get help. We needed a single person who was focused every day on trying to help dealers help customers. So we moved into what we were calling the customer first period, if you will, in our timeline. Very simply, we made a promise. And that promise was what the dealers asked for. Deliver the part when the customer needs it, ship it right, and provide accurate and timely information. Pretty straightforward. This was our rallying cry to ourselves and our commitment that we made to our dealers. And as you know, when you make a commitment, when you state a commitment, you're there, right? But we also had to move forward with our team members. Our team members said, okay, this is all great. Now, how do I do this? I have so many priorities. I have so many opportunities out there. You're sending me in a lot of different directions. How do I make the right decisions? So as an organization, we created a visual. And the visual for service parts and accessories was something we call the priority wheel. Well, automotive company, what else would you expect? A square, pyramid? Probably not. You'd expect a wheel, something round, something that rolls. We like that kind of thing. And we put the customer in the middle. The reason we put the customer in the middle because we want everyone to remember that we are customer first. That's the most important thing. Anything you do outside of that wheel throws it out of balance. There's a lot of great analogies here you can imagine. But if you think about the customer as the reason why we exist, then our other priorities, which are around that center, quality, safety, sustainability, our team members, which is our associates, our employees, and of course, our business performance. All those decisions have to be in balance against what the customer needs. If you make a balanced decision, you set the priorities in the right place. Well, that was good, but we had to add one more thing. People said, okay, I get that. That's how you're making decisions on major initiatives and major activities. But what are you doing to help me on a daily basis? I'm a frontline supervisor in the Chicago PDC, right? I'm a procurement analyst in Kentucky. How do I interpret this to do my job better, to be part of this customer first initiative? We set about 4 behavioral tenets, if you will, and those are shown there in red. The first one is humanize. We told our team members, remember that this is ultimately a people business. It's not about the parts, it's not about the trucks, it's not about the warehouse, as much fun as that is. It's about people. It's about each other, but most of all, it's about those people who buy and own our vehicles. That part you hold in your hand, that part you ordered today, somebody's depending on that part, or will be depending on that part, to get their vehicle back on the road, to make sure their vehicle is safe for their family. It's important. There's a human aspect to everything that you do. We talked about innovate. Well, innovate, it's great to say, go innovate. What I like to remind people is, we're in the service parts business. We don't transport organs, human organs, those things, right? And we don't transport high explosives. So it's okay to try things and fail. What can really go wrong? One of the beauties about our part of the business, and probably for many of you, if you make a change in your supply chain, you can see whether it's working or not pretty quickly. And many times you can dial it back. So that's the beauty of what we do. So we're saying go ahead and try things. If you have an idea, let's take a look at it from a stakeholder perspective and let's try some things. It's okay. So we're encouraging people to take a little bit of risk. On the lower left, we talk about visualize. Visual workplace, very important in total production system and how we need to do our business. We need to be able to walk in and to know whether things are going well or not going well. You can look at it on an online dashboard if you want, but if it's not visual, you're not going to know what's really happening. You walk in one of our parts distribution facilities, you'll see progress control boards. You'll see up-to-date information to know whether or not today's work is on time or not. It's very visual workplace, and we're trying to move more towards visuals in every aspect of our business. People always say to me, well, visual, of course, it's out on the share drive. Well, who here has ever seen a share drive? A couple of people see, well, that's great. I don't know where ours is, but I want things out in front of us where we can see. I want it on the wall. I want to be able to know when I walk into a workplace, just as any other team member would want to know, are we on time? Is our quality where it needs to be? Are we meeting and exceeding the customer's expectations? And finally, Factivate. It's a word we made up. It's about taking fast action based on the information you have. The facts you have at hand, take action. It's about quick decision making, a problem that many of us have. And of course, that's surrounded with the total way, which is the foundation of our business. The whole point of this is that we had to create a visual to people understand what do we mean by customer first and how do you apply it in your everyday work. This is the key. If you walk away with nothing else from this presentation today, walk away with an understanding that you have to get your team members, your associates, involved and to understand what it is that you're expecting of them. Otherwise, it's just words. So what are some of the things we did? Well, I'll go over them quickly because they're kind of really specific to our business. Everybody likes shorter lead times. It's great. But in our business, what's most important is late cutoffs in the afternoon, order cutoff periods, and earliest possible delivery. Well, we take advantage of the fact that our dealers are closed at night, so we have been moving our dealers towards the latest possible order cutoff time, which we're targeting 4 o'clock or after in the afternoon. That's when most of their demand has been registered for the day. And then delivery by 7 a.m. using nighttime unattended delivery. We've expanded the service for nighttime unattended delivery, and we've set targets for how much of our business is taken in after 4 p.m. To help support this, we had to expand our facility hours. In many cases, that meant adding shifts. Many of our facilities were single shift operations. Great for the people there, wasn't so great for the customer. We've added holidays where we were off, as I mentioned earlier. Dealers were working, we needed to be there, and we needed to have guaranteed overnight delivery. We also introduced something called same-day service. I'm hearing this term a lot, same-day service. And for us, let me tell you how it works, is that today, if you need a part and the dealer doesn't have it, they have to order it, they'll have it by 7 a.m. tomorrow. Well, that's great, but what if you need your car back today? Well, we realize that we have a great opportunity. We have 18 distribution centers. Most of them are in large metropolitan areas where a lot of our dealers and customers are. Why not allow the dealers to place an order, come in and pick up their part on kind of a will call basis, if you want to look at that? Well, that's great for the dealers who are within driving distance of the warehouse, 30, 40 minutes, but what about those who aren't? So I was living in Southern California until recently, and I'll give you the example. We have a large warehouse in Los Angeles near the airport. We have a lot of dealers down in San Diego. They're about 2 hours away. Those dealers in San Diego can now place an order by 10:30 a.m. and have those parts available to them in San Diego by 1:30 in the afternoon. Just think what that does for throughput in a dealership, what that does for the customer not having to keep their car overnight, what that does for rental car expense for the customer or for the dealership. What does that do for your sales opportunity to know you can get any part the same day? So we've expanded this now. It's now in 37 markets around the country. We continue to try to expand it. We can't do it everywhere geographically, but what we've done is taken this idea of will call, you come to us, we fill it right at our warehouse. That's great, simple. A lot of people can do that, but how many people can take that will call desk and put it out into a market and have the dealers come to them? So in the San Diego market, for example, the orders are delivered by one small truck. They go to a central point, which is one of the dealerships. Everyone knows what time that is. The other dealers in the area come in, pick up their parts, go back, and they put the customers back on the road. Actually unique in the auto industry, maybe not unique in every other business, but it is in the auto industry. It's doing very well. A lot of incremental sales coming out of it as well. So just a couple of examples. This one's I'll cover kind of quickly. It has to do with getting dealers to stock the right parts. We talk about SKUs, in our case, part numbers. In our network, we have 350,000 part numbers. The average dealer carries about 1% of that, about 3,500, maybe 5,000 part numbers. They do a pretty good job for maintenance parts and fast-moving things that they sell a lot of. But for everything else, how do we get the dealers to stock more? But more importantly, how do we get them to stock the right parts? They have their own systems. They make their own decisions. But how can we take the risk out of this for them? We used to have very restrictive return policies. And we realized that this was creating a problem for our customers. This was not customer first. And so one of the things that we did is we did away with our return policy and said, it's now an open return. You can buy whatever you want, and you can return it to us within certain parameters. There are some general guidelines, but those guidelines make them better parts managers. It's allowed the dealers to stock more, and our return volume has stayed about the same as what it was before with our restrictive policies. But we're getting back the right parts, and the dealers now have the capability to provide a better level of service. Again, industry first. A lot of the other automakers are probably going to be going in some similar direction. We also said they wanted more technical support. Our dealers, when they look at our electronic parts catalog to identify the parts they need for your vehicle, they're looking at something that's a schematic, that's maybe more words and really hard to identify. We realized that internally we had over 200,000 photographs of our parts. What we've done is now connected those photographs with the electronic parts catalog so a dealer can go into the catalog, see an icon of a camera, know there's pictures behind it, click, and identify the parts that they need. We also took that same information and we put it out in a web format where the dealer can go in, if they have a part number, they can go and put in the part number and look for pictures of that part to help make sure they're ordering the right part for the customer. We also are sharing more information. As we identify opportunities through phone calls, emails, chat, whatever it is that comes into our parts call center from our dealers, we start to see trends. And rather than waiting for those trends to become a problem, we're using outbound communication tools like this newswire to tell the dealers about maybe an error in the catalog or a particular type of part that's hard to identify, how they can correct that themselves, how we can share more information to them in advance of them having to reach out to us. We call it EDER, which is early detection, early resolution for these kinds of things. Those were just a couple of examples. Looking forward, we know that what got us here today isn't going to get us where we need to be tomorrow. So we are moving on. Don't let this scare you, but this is a little bit of a Kaizen that we're working on right now to look at our supply side and say, where do we have problems today? What's the ideal image for the future for our supply? Most of the things I talked about already were operational. This really speaks to the things that we can do in our supply side to better manage orders, especially those unique, irregular type orders that don't always come through our systems the way we expect them to, that we lose visibility to. And how can we take information that's coming either directly from our dealers or even sometimes through customers, through our customer contact centers, and identify problems early, again, being proactive. Work in progress. E-commerce. Well, guess what? We're the last ones to the party when it comes to parts and accessories e-commerce around the auto industry, but as I like to say, it's the pioneers who get the arrows, the settlers get the land. We're happy to be a settler in this case. We're learning a lot, and we have just launched our very first phase of e-commerce. Nothing special, nothing you wouldn't find in a lot of other environments, but what's different is we have a phase 2 plan, and our plan is that we will eventually start fulfilling the orders for our dealers. Today, e-commerce, the dealer orders the part from us, they then ship it to you. Well, what if we did the shipping on behalf of the dealers and shipped directly to the customer, if the customer or the retailer, whoever it is that's looking for that part? It may not seem like fantastic development in other industries, but in ours, everything has always been done by our dealers. This will continue to maintain the dealer-customer relationship, but taking advantage of our logistics systems. In the future, a lot of things happening with technology. I don't have time to cover them all, but we're realizing that we are not very automated. If you go into one of our warehouses, you find it's not high tech in that sense. But we do see that there are some opportunities where we can take advantage of some of the newer technologies today. We certainly are, like everyone else, is looking to better utilize the data that's in our lakes out there. We also who are looking forward to what 3D printing has to offer. Is it going to be a complement to what we do today, or is it a threat to what we do today? We don't know. And of course, real-time diagnostics, you all know, you've been hearing about it. Everything connected today, certainly the vehicles have the opportunity to tell us that there's something wrong with them and even pass that through to become an order before the customer even knows they have a problem. So a lot of exciting things happening, only if we leverage them to exceed the customer's expectations. And then finally, for those of you who are moving on your own customer-first journey or thinking about it, some things to think about. I talked about talking to the customers, but also the fact that today immediacy is something that is it's taken for granted by our customers. They want the visibility, they want the transparency throughout the transactions. We have to look beyond our four walls. If you think that your supply chain ends at the dock door or at the door of the truck or your customer's door, it probably doesn't. It ends in your customer's hands. And if you don't design your supply chain, don't move your supply chain in that direction, you're really not going to ever achieve a customer-first type of environment. And then delivering on service first. As I mentioned, we're putting service first, we're putting the customer first, and then going after the cost. It's the total way of doing business. You provide what the customer is looking for, you Kaizen out the costs. And then finally, challenge the status quo. Reduce lead time, or eliminate it if you can. Some of the things I talked about with stocking. And don't let those opportunities for expansion or business growth stand in your way. If you don't take advantage of it, somebody's going to be there to take advantage of it for you. So thank you very much. Did I finish on time?
You got 5 to go.
Oh, okay, well, I have more. No, that's great. Thank you.